The court expected a death scream. Instead, the human laughed. Everyone in the Starfall Dominion knew the same warning. Never stand within 20 meters of Empress Vera Nox. Not if you liked your memories staying inside your skull. She sat alone on a throne of black glass, in a hall so huge it felt empty even when full. Above her, pale starlight drifted in slow loops like trapped smoke. Around the edges, diplomats and nobles pressed against the walls. They wore thick dampener collars that hummed softly, fighting her presence. Because the Empress did not need guards. She was the guard. A faint violet shimmer pulsed around her skin like heat above metal. It was not magic. It was biology, an old curse written into her blood. Her mind leaked into the air. A storm of psychic pressure that made brave warriors cry. A storm that made proud rulers beg for mercy. They called her the Nightmare Empress. They said she ate thoughts. They said she enjoyed it. But Vera's eyes looked tired, not cruel. When she blinked, it was slow, like sleep was heavier than war. Lord Karos, her Grand Vizier, stood near the boundary line. He never stepped closer than he had to. The Terran Union arrives, he announced. They offer a candidate. A nervous rustle moved through the crowd. Another fool sent forward. Another mind broken. Another body removed quietly. The doors opened. A single human walked in. Not in silk. Not in armor. He wore plain field gear, scuffed boots, and a jacket with too many pockets. His name was Cal Rook, a rescue engineer from a mining colony on a high-gravity world. A Deathworlder. The kind that grew up with storms that could peel roofs away. Cal stopped at the red line on the floor. He looked down at it like it was a suggestion. Karos smiled thinly. The line is there for a reason, human. Cal glanced up toward the throne. He looked directly at the Empress. Several nobles flinched like they had been slapped. Direct eye contact that close was madness. Vera's violet aura stirred. Human, she said, her voice quiet but heavy. Do not cross. Cal scratched behind his ear. I was told you needed help, he said. And that you don't get much of it. Karos' smile sharpened. You will die before you take a second step. Cal breathed out, as if testing the air. Yeah, he said. I can feel it. Like standing next to a power station with a cracked shield. Then he stepped over the red line. The hall froze. Someone whispered a prayer in an old language. Someone else covered their eyes. Vera's aura surged, violet light spilling like a wave. It hit Cal like a hammer made of invisible noise. He stopped walking. His shoulders tensed. His fingers curled. The crowd waited for him to collapse. Cal blinked twice. Then he grimaced. Oh, that's annoying, he muttered. Vera stared. Cal rolled his neck, like a man warming up for heavy work. That's not a voice in my head, he said, pointing vaguely at the air. That's a frequency. A nasty one. Karos' eyes widened. That is impossible. Vera took one slow step down from her throne. The floor under her foot faintly cracked. Your mind should be screaming, she said. Cal squinted. It is, he admitted. Just, not in the way you want. He took another step closer, sweat forming at his hairline. It wasn't comfort. It wasn't easy. But he was still standing. My people, Cal said, voice steady, we don't have pretty nervous systems. He tapped his own temple. We grew up with disease, predators, wars, and gravity that tries to fold you in half. Our brains are messy. He gave a small grin, like he knew it wasn't a heroic speech. Just the truth. Your signal hits us, he continued, and it hurts. But it doesn't find a clean path. It gets lost in the noise. Vera's eyes flickered. Not anger. Something closer to hope, then fear of that hope. You should hate me, she whispered. Everyone does. Cal looked at her aura, at the way it trembled like it was alive. Then he looked at her face. He saw the loneliness there, hiding behind power like a locked door. I don't hate broken machines, he said. I fix them. Karos stepped forward, only a fraction, raising his voice. Empress, this is a trick. A weapon. Let the royal constructs destroy him. Two towering bronze guardians shifted in the shadows, weapons unfolding. Vera lifted her hand. Stop, she said. The constructs froze instantly. Silence returned, sharper than before. Cal exhaled, like he had been holding his breath for a long time. Good, he said. I'd rather not get stabbed on my first day. Vera descended another step. Now she was close enough that her aura made the air shimmer. Cal's pupils narrowed. His jaw clenched once, then released. Why did you come? Vera asked. Cal opened his jacket and pulled out a small object. A black and yellow badge with a scratched symbol on it. Search and rescue, he said. Terran Union figured if anyone can stand near you, it's someone who spent his whole life standing near disasters. He held the badge out, not toward her hand, but toward the space between them. I'm not here to fight you, he said. I'm here to survive you long enough to figure out how to help. Vera's throat moved like she was swallowing something painful. I am the reason others die, she said. I cannot be helped. Cal's voice softened. Maybe not by your people, he said. But humans do stupid things all the time. He smiled, small, honest, and stubborn. And sometimes, he added, stupid works. Vera looked at the diplomats pressed against the walls. At the fear that owned them. Then she looked back at the human who did not run. Come, she said, barely louder than a breath. Walk with me. Cal nodded once. Lead the way, he replied. Behind them, Karos watched with a frozen expression. And in his eyes, a new plan formed, cold and sharp. Because if the Empress was no longer alone, Karos would no longer be powerful. The Imperial Wing felt like a museum built for ghosts. It was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Floors of pale crystal. Walls that softly glowed. But there was no laughter. No clutter. No life. Cal dropped his duffel bag in his assigned room. The sound echoed too long. A hovering service drone greeted him, voice bright and fake. Welcome, Captain Cal Rook. Do not touch the artifacts. They are older than your species. Cal stared at a tall vase shaped like a spiraling star. Then it should know better than to stand where people walk, he said. He stepped to a window and looked out. Outside, the capital city flashed with light and movement. Inside, everything was still. He turned back. Where's the kitchen? He asked. The drone paused. Nutrition stations are located. No, Cal interrupted. I mean a real kitchen. With heat. With smoke. With food that fought back. The drone looked offended. This civilization does not. Cal sighed. Yeah. I know. Civilized. He started unpacking tools. Not weapons. Tools. Grave clamps. Insulation mesh. Field scanners. A small box labeled, grounding pins, do not touch without gloves. A few hours later, Vera appeared in the doorway without warning. Cal felt it before he saw her. Pressure behind the eyes. A hum in the teeth. He turned slowly. She stood there with her hands clasped, like she wasn't sure what to do with them. Her aura brushed the doorframe and made the metal faintly warp. You are still functioning, she said. Cal swallowed and forced his breathing steady. Define functioning, he replied. My brain feels like it's arguing with a thunderstorm. Vera's gaze dropped to his tools. What are those? Hope, Cal said. Then he reconsidered and shrugged. Okay. Engineering. He knelt and opened the small box. Your aura is energy, he said. Not evil. Not a curse from the gods. Energy. Vera's eyes narrowed. Energy that kills. Energy that isn't managed, Cal corrected. He held up a grounding pin. Thick, dark metal with etched channels. On Earth, when a building gets struck by lightning, we don't blame the sky. We redirect it. Vera stared at the pin like it was a joke. You cannot redirect me. Cal stood up carefully and kept his voice calm. I'm not redirecting you, he said. I'm redirecting the effect. He pointed around the room. Your palace is built like you're trying to contain a storm with glass. But glass shatters. He tapped his tools. I want to build you a path. A safe path. Vera's face tightened. Safe, she repeated, like the word was old and broken. Cal hesitated. Then he did something reckless. He stepped closer by half a pace. The pressure rose instantly. His ears rang. His vision narrowed at the edges. But he stayed upright. I'm not asking you to trust humans, he said. I'm asking you to trust physics. For a moment, Vera looked like she might laugh. The expression didn't fully form, like her face forgot how. Why would you do this? She asked. Cal's voice went quiet. Because I've seen what happens when someone gets labeled a disaster, he said. They stop being treated like a person. He rubbed his forehead, fighting the ache. And I'm tired of watching people get locked away until they turn into the monster everyone expects. Vera's aura pulsed, not angry, confused. Everyone expects me to be the monster, she said. Cal nodded. Yeah, that's the problem. That night, the first attempt began. Cal placed grounding pins in a circle around a private corridor. He linked them with insulated mesh, creating a hidden channel beneath the floor. The palace engineers refused to help. They watched from a distance, terrified. So Cal worked alone. When he finished, he stood at the far end of the corridor and called softly. Your Majesty, he said. Just walk. Slowly. Vera appeared. She stepped forward. The air shimmered. The pins warmed. Cal's scanner beeped. Energy moved. Not all of it, but enough. The pressure in Cal's skull dropped from a scream to a roar. Vera stopped mid-step, eyes wide. What did you do? She whispered. Cal wiped sweat off his lip. I gave your storm a drain. Vera looked down at the floor. For the first time in centuries, she took another step without breaking stone. Cal smiled despite the pain. See, he said. Not magic. Just stubborn. But across the palace, Lord Caros read the first security report. He saw the energy logs. He saw the words, reduced lethal output. Caros' hands tightened. If the Empress could walk among her people, then she could hear their voices again. Their complaints. Their truths. And she might finally hear what Caros had been doing in her name. He leaned toward his private communicator. Begin phase 1, he said. Make the human look like an assassin. The first time Vera entered the public corridor, the palace panicked. Not because she moved fast. Because she moved at all. Cal walked beside her, scanner in hand, breathing through the pressure. The grounding system held, barely. Servants fled. Guards stiffened. Diplomats hid behind pillars like children. Vera's voice stayed low. They fear me, she said. Cal kept his eyes forward. They fear what they don't understand, he answered. Same thing happens on Earth. Vera looked at him, expression sharp. Do humans fear you? Cal gave a humorless chuckle. My home colony used to call me Grave Rat, he said. Because I kept crawling into broken tunnels to pull people out. He shrugged. Sometimes fear looks like respect. Sometimes it looks like distance. Vera's steps slowed. You do not keep distance, she said. Cal didn't reply right away. Because the truth was, he was keeping distance. Inside. He never stood directly in front of her aura longer than he had to. He never let his hands drift too close to her skin. Because he wasn't immune. He was enduring. Then the first attack came. A scream echoed down the corridor. A palisade collapsed, clutching their head. Guards shouted. Dampeners sparked. Cal rushed forward, scanner flashing red. The energy spike didn't match Vera's signature. He felt cold move through him. This is staged, he muttered. Vera stopped. Her eyes went wide. I did not. I know, Cal said fast. But the corridor erupted into chaos. Someone yelled, the human did it. Another shouted, he's controlling her. Cal turned, and saw it. A small device on the wall, pulsing faintly. A resonance amplifier. Not Vera's storm. A fake storm. It was tuned to mimic her frequency but sharper, more lethal. Designed to hurt, to blame, to turn the palace against her. And against him. Cal lunged, ripped the device free, and crushed it under his boot. The pulse died. The aide's breathing steadied. But it was too late. Eyes were on Cal now. Fearful, angry eyes. Caro's arrived with perfect timing, cloak flowing like a shadow. What have you done? He demanded. Cal held up the broken device. Ask your security team, Cal said. This isn't hers. This is yours. Caro's face didn't change. But his eyes hardened. You stand too close to her, he said. You poison her judgment. Vera's aura flared, then steadied. She spoke, and for once, the room listened. Enough, she said. My judgment has been poisoned for 2 centuries. Caro's bowed slightly, hiding his smile. Then allow the council to investigate, he said. For the safety of the Dominion. Cal felt the trap tightening. Because an investigation here didn't mean truth. It meant control. That night, Cal worked in his room, hands shaking from exhaustion. He had endured Vera's storm for days. His body was burning through energy like a furnace. The drone delivered food, finally real meat, after Cal bullied the kitchen into learning. He ate like a starving man. Then he heard a soft sound. A knock. Vera stood in the doorway. Cal straightened. Everything okay? Vera didn't answer immediately. She stepped inside, carefully, like she was afraid the room would break. Her aura brushed the walls, making the lights flicker. I watched you today, she said. You defended me. Cal nodded. You didn't do it. Vera's eyes glistened faintly. People say I enjoy hurting others, she whispered. But I spend every day trying not to. Cal's throat tightened. He forced a steady tone. Then you're not the monster, he said. Vera took another step. Close enough that Cal's skin prickled. She lifted her gloved hand, hovering, unsure. I do not remember, she said, what it feels like to be near someone and not destroy them. Cal's chest rose and fell slowly. He wanted to say something clever. Something brave. Instead he said the honest thing. It feels like relief, he said. And fear. Vera nodded. Yes, she breathed. Exactly. Then she surprised him. She removed one glove. Her fingers were pale, almost glowing, trembling slightly. Cal's heart thudded. She held her hand out. Not demanding. Asking. Cal swallowed. He reached out. Their fingertips touched. The room's lights flickered. The grounding pins under the floor warmed sharply. Cal felt pressure slam into his skull. Then drain away, as if pulled into the earth itself. Vera's breath caught. Her aura shivered like a storm meeting a wall. And then, nothing. Not silence like death. Silence like peace. Vera's eyes widened with a pain that looked like joy. I can feel you, she whispered. Not your fear. Not your agony. Cal's voice went rough. Yeah, he said. I'm still here. A single tear slid down Vera's cheek. She didn't wipe it away. I thought love was a story, she said. A story told to children who do not understand power. Cal kept his hand steady. Maybe power is the part that doesn't understand love, he replied. Far away, in Caro's private chamber, another device lit up. A recording. A single frame of Vera touching the human. Caro's smiled. Good, he whispered. Now we make them both look guilty. The trial was scheduled for dawn. Not a public trial. A council trial, behind locked doors, where evidence became whatever the powerful wanted. Cal stood in the hall outside the chamber, jaw tight, palm sweaty. He could feel Vera inside. Not by her storm, but by the calm. It was strange. Once, her presence was pain. Now it was a steady signal. Like a lighthouse. Karos walked past Cal with 2 guards. "Do not speak," Karos said softly. "You are a guest here." Cal's eyes narrowed. "You mean prisoner," he replied. Karos leaned closer, voice silky. "You could leave," he murmured. "Return to your little death world. Let the Empress return to what she is." Cal's fists clenched. "What she is," he said, "is someone you've been using." Karo's smile vanished for half a second. Then he stepped away. Inside the chamber, the Council of 12 sat in a half-circle. Vera stood alone in the center. She wore her crown, but her posture was different now. Less distant. Less empty. Karos raised a data crystal. "We present proof," he declared, "that the human has manipulated the Empress with illegal resonance devices." Murmurs. Cal stepped forward. "That's a lie," he said. Guards raised weapons. Vera lifted her hand. "Let him speak," she said. Karos' eyes flashed. Cal held up his scanner. "This palace has hidden amplifiers," he said. "Not mine. Not hers." He turned to the council. "Someone has been staging attacks to keep her feared," he continued. "To keep her isolated. Because an isolated ruler is easy to control." Karos laughed sharply. "A bold claim," he said. "A desperate human's fantasy." Cal inhaled. Then he did the most human thing possible. He didn't argue with words. He offered a demonstration. Cal stepped toward the council table. Every guard tensed. "Don't," Karos warned. "Your presence." "I'm not the threat," Cal snapped. He pulled a small device from his pocket, one of his grounding pins, modified. He set it on the floor. Then he looked at Vera. "Your Majesty," he said, steady and loud. "Give them what they think they want." Vera stared, understanding in her eyes. She turned slightly toward the council. Her aura rose. Violet light thickened. The air vibrated. Council members flinched. Some clutched their collars. Karos smiled, certain he had won. Then Cal activated the pin. A low hum. The violet pressure twisted. And flowed down. Not into the council. Into the floor. Into the grounding channel. The chamber went silent. The council members blinked, stunned. They were close enough that they should have been crying. But they weren't. Vera's aura still glowed. But it no longer stabbed outward like a blade. It moved like a river. Controlled. Redirected. One council member rose slowly, voice shaking. "I can breathe," she whispered. Another reached toward Vera, then stopped, terrified. Vera's face tightened, expecting rejection. Cal stepped beside her. "Careful," he warned the council member. "It still hurts if you're fragile. But it won't kill you." Karos' expression turned sharp and ugly. "This is sorcery," he hissed. "Illegal technology. Treason." Cal looked straight at him. "No," Cal said. "This is what happens when you stop treating a person like a weapon." Then Cal did the second most human thing. He pulled up a log file. "This palace system tracks resonance spikes," he said. "And it tracks who accessed the maintenance tunnels." He tapped the screen. A list appeared. Karos' private access code. Dates. Times. Locations. Every staged amplifier. Every attack. The council's eyes turned slowly toward Karos. Karos stepped back. "Forged," he spat. Vera's voice cut through the room like steel. "Enough," she said. Her aura pulsed once, controlled, heavy. Guards froze. Karos' throat moved. Vera walked toward him. Each step was steady. No cracking floor. No collapsing minds. A miracle, built from human stubbornness. "You fed my empire fear," Vera said quietly. "You used my loneliness as your throne." Caro's face twisted. "You are nothing without fear," he shouted. "They will destroy you the moment you stop being the nightmare." Vera's eyes burned. "Then let them try," she said. "I would rather be destroyed as a person than live forever as your monster." Caro's reached for a hidden trigger on his wrist. Cal saw it. Cal moved. He slammed Caro's arm down, hard, and the trigger snapped. Guards grabbed Caro's. The council chamber shook with voices. But Vera only looked at Cal. "You risked everything," she said. Cal's breathing was heavy. "I'm human," he replied. "That's kind of our hobby." The Dominion didn't change in a day. Fear had deep roots. And fear hated being pulled out. But change began. Not with speeches. With doors opening. Vera walked through the Capitol with Cal beside her, grounded path hidden beneath the street stones. People watched from windows. Some hid. Some cried. Some stared like they were seeing a myth become real. At first, no one approached. Then a child did. A small alien girl with silver eyes, holding a paper-like ribbon. Her mother tried to pull her back, terrified. Vera stopped. Her aura hummed softly. Cal placed a grounding pin near his boot, subtle. The child held out the ribbon with shaking hands. Vera stared at it like it was a weapon. "I will hurt you," Vera whispered, voice barely there. The child tilted her head. "You look sad," the child said. The mother's face went pale. Cal crouched slightly, voice gentle. "Slow," he told Vera. "Just slow." Vera reached out carefully. Her fingers hovered. Then touched the ribbon. Nothing burned. Nothing broke. The child smiled, wide and fearless. "It's pretty," she said. Vera's breath caught. Her eyes shone. She didn't smile fully, yet. But something in her face unlocked. A few days later, the outer scourge arrived at the border. Pirate fleets. Raider swarms. They had been waiting for weakness. They believed the Nightmare Empress was distracted. They were right about one thing. Vera was distracted. By life. But humans had another habit. When they finally find something worth protecting, they become terrifying. Cal stood in the command center with Dominion officers who still didn't like him. He didn't care. He pointed to the enemy formation. "They expect a psychic blast," he said. "They've adapted to it." An officer sneered. "You cannot fight without the Empress terror." Cal looked at the screen. "Who said we're fighting without it?" he asked. Vera stepped forward, calm. "I will not become their nightmare again," she said. "I will not burn minds." Cal nodded. "We won't," he said. "We'll burn their electronics." He activated the modified grounding grid on the fleet's hulls. A design humans had used for lightning storms back home. Vera's resonance poured into it like water into pipes. Focused. Directed. Amplified. Not into brains. Into circuits. The Dominion fleet surged forward. The Scourge ships fired first. Then their weapons died. Systems flickered. Shields collapsed. Their fleet drifted, blind and helpless. The Scourge commander screamed into the open channel. "What are you?" Cal leaned toward the MIC, voice calm. "Human," he said. "And we just taught your fleet how to be quiet." The Dominion ships moved in like hunters. No mind wiping. No terror waves. Just clean victories built from human problem solving and an empress who chose restraint. After the battle, the Dominion called Vera a savior. Some still whispered nightmare, but quieter now. Because a nightmare that refuses to harm you is not a nightmare. It's a person. That night, in the Garden of Silence, Cal found Vera standing among the metal trees. He held something in his palm. A tiny sprout, green, stubborn, alive. Earth seed stock. Modified for harsh environments. "It might die," Cal said. "But it might not." Vera stared at the sprout like it was a miracle. "You keep offering me things that can break," she whispered. Cal nodded. "Because unbreakable isn't living," he said. It's just surviving. Vera's voice trembled. And if I break it? Cal stepped closer, slow. Then we plant another, he said. And another. And one day this garden won't be metal. Vera looked at him for a long time. Then, carefully, like someone learning to walk, she took his hand. No glove. No flinch. Just skin to skin, storm to stone, noise to calm. I wanted to be loved, she said softly. And the universe answered with a Deathworlder. Cal smiled, tired and real. Yeah, he replied. Turns out the universe has a weird sense of romance. In the center of a garden that had never lived, a green sprout stood upright. Small. Fragile. Stubborn. Like humanity itself.